What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be installing the AR-800 RGB switch panel from AuxBeam. They did reach out to me and ask if I would like to make a video of this for you guys, and I was actually looking for a way to clean up my wiring. And if you guys want a discount on this product, go on their website and use code ADV4. You can apply the discount code in the shopping cart, and you can save up to about $35 on this, and it's 12% off of everything else on the site. Alright, and before we get started here, I'm just going to show you what I'm pulling out of the truck. It's just a regular 12-volt fuse panel, so you still have to run all the wires inside the truck and all that stuff, and it just ends up being a lot of wires. I mean, there's the firewall hole I'm using down there. It's just a ton of wires, and of course then also the relays and everything like that. And then all of that stuff will just get replaced by this, and then the one wire to our switch panel, and then also they have their own 60 amp breaker, which we'll be putting in place of this breaker. Let me give you a quick rundown of what you expect to get in the box. This is the switch assembly. This is what you're going to be routing all of your auxiliary items to, and this is what's going to give it power and also let you control all those items by this switch panel. Now that switch panel is connected to this via this cable to give you plenty of length to run inside the truck from under the hood of the vehicle. They give you some power and ground cables, give you some zip ties, some mounting brackets for the switch panel. This is the mounting bracket I'm going to choose. This pivots around so you can mount it on the dash or on the knee bolster, anywhere like that. This is going to be a wire. It's actually they give you a fuse tap because we're going to have to give this keyed ignition power. So that's how we're going to do that. Then they give you a bunch of stickers here, so no matter what you're putting on these switches, you will be able to get an appropriate one to identify it. Here is our 60 amp circuit breaker. They do also give you some mounting brackets for your switch assembly, and I'm actually not going to use those. In the electrical system that I just showed you in the truck, when I'm removing that, I'm going to be painting that panel and reusing it and mounting this stuff to the panel that I already have for my truck. Alright guys, we got all those wires out. I went ahead and painted up this panel. This is actually a Pelfrey built panel. If you know anything about them, they are discontinued, but there are some other companies that sell some aluminum panels like that. If you also have a Tacoma, just take a look online. Now these are the wires that I actually pulled out of the truck, and the best part about this panel is all of these relays and stuff that I used to have to power all these auxiliary lights. You no longer need all that. So basically there is some bits of this harness that I'm going to reuse, but it's just going to be the connectors that connect to our lights and then the power and grounds, and that's it. We're not going to need to hide these relays anywhere or mount them up anywhere. And more importantly, I'm not going to need this huge switch panel with a bunch of wires running to it inside the cab of my truck just to operate them. Guys, we got our fuse panel all set up here. I actually already had a breaker that fit this panel perfectly. I didn't have to drill any new holes, so I just went ahead and reused that. Nothing against the one they have. This one just already fits nicely in this panel, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. This is for my rock lights. This is not part of this kit, but I'm actually went ahead and moved this to this panel as well. And this is a good example to show you how to hook something up. So to power these rock lights, all it needs is normally a ground and then a fused power. So you can connect this box straight to your battery. But in this instant, all you got to do is just run it and connect it straight to your connection on our switch assembly here, and it's just that simple. So really all you're going to do is hook your power and ground to our panel, and the rest is all handled by this. You don't need relays. It's already a fused connection. You don't even need to do eyelets on the end of your stuff. This is a bare wire connection that you just loosen these screws and slip it in there and tighten it up, and it's a very, very simple process. If you are going to use their circuit breaker, it doesn't have any labels on which is battery and which is aux. Aux being the fuse panel side and battery being the battery side, but they give you a nice big pamphlet full of instructions and stuff like that, and that would determine that this upper stud runs to our battery and this lower stud runs to our new panel. Just so that's clear for you guys. So my breaker here has the connections on the bottom, so I went ahead and run my power down through here and also my ground. The ground is going to go to the chassis of the truck, which I will show you later, and then my power ran over here to the aux on my circuit breaker. So now all I need is a connection on the other post you have there, from there to the battery on the truck, and then the fuse panel will have the proper power it needs to distribute the rest of this to all of your auxiliary items. So on my Tacoma, it utilizes these holes to mount that panel that I was showing you guys. And before that gets in there, I'm actually going to go ahead and route our cable down through that firewall plug right there. It'll just be a lot easier to do for the panels in the way. And the best part about this system is this is the only cable I have to run inside the cab. If you guys are familiar with auxiliary fuse panels and having lights and stuff like that, you got to run multiple cables, hide relays, and do all kinds of stuff. And that's the best part about this, is that just this one skinny cable is going to run inside to our switch panel, and that'll be it. With our panel in, went ahead and plugged in our wire that we routed inside for our switch panel. Went ahead and plugged in our wire. This is going to be our accessory power for the switch assembly. So we ran from there, ran up into our fuse box. Disregard these two fuse taps. These are for voltage boost on the alternator on my truck. I'll link that video in the description if you're curious on how that works. But we actually used the fuse tap over here on EFI number 2 fuse. It was one of the only keyed power accessory fuses that were kind of left. These were, I normally would have picked the one from right here, but this one was already used. And verified everything's okay. So went ahead and hooked that up. Got a solid connection there. So now our switch assembly has power. This is our positive from our battery. So it goes from here to our circuit breaker. So now our switch assembly has everything it needs to function. All we need is to plug in our switch panel inside to control it. And just to give you an example, if you're kind of stumped on which fuse you're going to use for our tap, if you go through and with your key off with a test light, see if you have power. So see, this one's got ground, so we know it has no power with the key off. Now just for example, if I were to turn the key on and I were to test it again and it had power, that would say that it has accessory power, and that's the power that we are looking to get for our switch assembly itself. Guys, we got our fuse tap all done. As an alternate, I think I'm going to do this not today but another day. I'm going to actually run a switch on that ignition wire, the accessory wire that we added, and I'm going to put it to a always live, and I'm going to put a switch on the inside so that way I can turn that switch on and actually use anything connected to this panel with the truck off. I got this idea from my buddy Matt. I was kind of talking to him about it and how I was thinking I couldn't use anything unless the key was on, and he gave me an idea to put it on a switch. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, but I'll probably do that at a separate time. At this point in time, we're going to go ahead and get all of our other lights hooked up. We're going to do our light bar up front. I'm going to hook up those Baja Designs to that as well. Right now they're on my fog light circuit. Hook them to that. We're going to do our ditch lights, and then I have some lights in the rear that we're going to hook up as well. And then we'll go ahead and test everything out and show you how it turned out. Alrighty guys, we are all done under the hood. Everything's all connected. Give you a look. Only used 5 of the 8 slots, so I still got some space left in the future if I want to add some stuff. Overall, very happy with how this turned out. And I'm going to show you this pile of wires that we got rid of, and it's honestly unbelievable. Alright guys, so this is the amount of wires that kit allowed me to remove from my truck. It's honestly crazy to think that this stuff was even all in my truck, and now everything functions just as it would. It's a lot simpler and a lot less wires, a lot less relays hanging out under the hood. I mean, it's just absolutely nuts. And obviously no more switch panel. It's all on that one single switch panel that they provided. So to me, that is what made this a huge plus to do as a modification versus the setup I had before. Alright guys, now all that's left to do is go inside and mount our switch panel. Alrighty guys, we got our switch panel all installed. I decided to put it up here on the dash. I originally was going to mount it right here with some screws, and I kind of decided against that just because I wanted to have to reach up just to hit a button. Had it right here by the radio, makes it nice and easy to hit controls and turn your lights on and off. And as you can see, this thing is very responsive. As soon as you click it, things are coming on. One cool feature that I really like is, say you have all your front lights on, you're going down a back road or something like that and you see a car coming, you can hit this button and turn them all off, and then you can immediately turn them back on. So it serves as like a memory feature, so it remembers whatever you just had on and it'll turn them right back on or turn them off for you. That way you don't have to go back and click all of these buttons just to turn these lights off. You can see I pulled some stickers off. They actually give you some blank ones here, which worked out nicely. I just kind of put the blank ones in the spots that I'm not using quite yet. I got one for my light bar, for the fog lights. I put the side one for the ditch lights, and of course the rear lights and the rock lights. Alrighty, now we're going to take a look at the app here. So you can change the icons on the app to match whatever you got. Also, you can control everything from the app itself. You can see I turn my light bar on, fogs, ditch lights. So if you don't want to really use your switch panel, or maybe you're away from your truck and you have the panel on, you can just pull up the app and it connects via Bluetooth and you can turn stuff on. So you want to you're at camp, turn your rock lights on, you can just go over here and click those on real quick and still use that center button function that I was just showing you previously. Another cool feature is the backlight on the switch panel. You can change that to whatever color you want. And as you can see, this app is very responsive. You can do a white, a blue, purple, green, whatever you want, pink, it doesn't matter. I kind of had it at a orange color that more matches. So naturally in my truck, things are amber when the truck is on. So I kind of wanted something that flows with that nicely. So I chose more of an amber color. And then right here, we got our slider for our brightness. And of course it's daylight right now, so that's the lowest brightness. If it was dark, you'd still be able to see it. And that's the brightest. So I'll probably just go ahead and keep it on the lowest. One of the other neat features is if you have certain lights that you want to be able to have a momentary switch, say for instance you have a horn or something wired to this, you can select your button and then go on momentary. And then so now when you hit that button, that light will only stay illuminated as long as you have the button pressed. So here I'll show you the fog lights on momentary. So they're on, off, on, off, and you see it lights up blue instead of red when it's on momentary. Another setting we have here is pulsed, and I would check with the manufacturer of lights. I know the Baja Designs lights do not like to be pulsed. I'm going to pulse the extreme LED light bar I have just to show you guys. So this is the different pulsing speeds, so you can make it pulse faster or slower. We'll go ahead and turn that on, and as you can see, that is just making it flash, and you can adjust the speed. We'll go down. So now that's flashing a lot slower and then a lot faster. I guess if you're like a first responder, like firefighter or anything like that, having that feature be pretty cool. If you're using this to wire up your windshield lights or anything of that nature, then I could see where that could be useful. For a normal everyday guy, I can't really see how that toggle flashing would be very useful. But like I said, a first responder, that may be perfect. Another thing you can do is you can actually group some lights together. So here we're on the group setting and I hit edit, and then you can select different ones. So say you have all those selected, go ahead and hit save. Just for the sake of this video, we'll just name it just a period. Hit done, save. Now that you have that group on, when you go up here to your switch panel, you hit that button and all of the lights that you selected for that group will come on with just the select of that button. So say you have all these lights wired separately, but anytime you use it, you would just like them all to come on. You can go ahead and wire these all to a group, so you hit any of these buttons and all three of these come on. And that's also very convenient, just for the fact that you know you'll never want them on separately. So you can go ahead and group them up, and then they'll just all come on whenever you press it. All right guys, I think that's the end of this video, and overall I think it's a really well thought out switch panel. And don't forget to go over to AuxBeam's website, check out what they got. They got LED light bulbs, they got light bars, they got the switch panel, they have some simpler switch panels that aren't the RGB multifunction that are even cheaper. And don't forget you can save 12% with the coupon code ADV4 on their website, and that's auxbeam.com. All right guys, thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.